Does he have it?
Medeiros is going to get it.
He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly, Miller's still such up. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry!
Good morning, good afternoon and good evening from wherever you may be in the world, and welcome back to the VWSC Modern, the virtual World Sports Car Championship. And well, what a track we are at right now. It says the Nürburgring Nordschleife, but that is not correct. We're at the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. What a track this is, one of the shortest tracks that we go to this season. With me in the commentary booth today and on production, so doing two things at the same time, is James Parfit. Yeah, round number 8 of the season. This is, let's have a look at the calendar, the races we've already had and that are to come. Like I said, round 8 is where we are at right now, Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. After this, we have Monza, 60 minutes as well. Then Road America, 60 minutes. Fuji, 60 minutes. Indianapolis, 60 minutes. Then 100 minutes at Road Atlanta. And then 18 minutes at Bahrain. Of course, the crown of the season was that Le Mans race, that 4.8 hours of Le Mans. You can go back and watch it on the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel. What a race that was. We're over halfway in the season. And like I said, Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Here we have a look at the track map. It is 3.96 kilometers long. That is 2.46 miles. In total, has 10 corners. And some really tricky ones as well, especially for multi-class racing. Moss Corner especially is a tricky one. Uphill, that gets very tight, especially 5B. I love how in America they just name everything, or Canada, they name everything 5A, B and C. Tires for today, soft, mediums, and the wets. We might well see them used by both cars, the Hypercars and the GTs, because there is rain in the area. Currently on track, it is all dry. It seems only the curbs that are still wet. Soft mediums for Hypercars, soft mediums and hards for the GTs. Then let's have a look at the challenges that the drivers will be faced with here this evening. Traffic management is going to be so crucial around this very short track. 1 minute 4, 1 minute 5 for the Hypercars only. So you're going to be lapping them every 4-5 laps. Mixed weather, especially today. It is dry, wet, especially in practice. We've seen dry, we've seen wet, we've seen everything. And we're going to see a variety of fuel strategies as well. GTs, maybe a 1-stop, maybe a 2-stop. The Hypercars, maybe a 2, maybe a 3-stop. Depends on how the drivers run. Here we have a look at the championship then in the LMGT3 AM class. Eugene Mazur leading the way on 154 points. 2 wins for him this season. Stefan Miller, Peter Meyer, both 1 win this season, but points differ. 121 for Stefan Miller and 109 for Peter Meyer. Matt Boos and Mike Boos, of course, family, on 72 and 71 points. Filippo Marazzi in 6th. 7th, Ed Jones, Stuart Barge, P9, Adam Gray, P9, P10 for Tom Montroy, 42 points for him. Greg Pullen, P11, James Bowders, P12, Josh Lepetri in P13, Vinicius de Oliveira in P14, Stephen Boos in P15, Graham Duncombe in P16, Roland Hagenaars in P17, 18 Francisco Costa, 19 Laurie Thomas, West Deer in P20, and Gino Bardelli in 21st. In the team championship, Trash Panda Racing leads the way on 115, and Reptile Racing on 76 points in second. Then look at that, 26 cars or 26 drivers in the LMGT3 class. Vasilis Katrinakis leading the way on 121 points. Brandon Johns in second. Jamie Zolecki, the only teammate of Vasilis Katrinakis, leading the way in the only team in this class, Stardust Autosports. He is on 102 points in third. Johnny Gutierrez in fourth, ahead of JT Tammy in fifth. Luciano Ichazo in sixth. Vinicius Gonçalves in P7. John Maher in P8. Becky Ely in P9. Got that name wrong in the past. Eliseo Neto in P10. Brendan McVie in P11. James Walker P12. Yuki Takanashi in P13. Sashin Sobers P14. Matthew Marlowe 15th, ahead of Max Suntelop in P16. Justin Silvestro in P17. Dale Carter in P18. Chris Brown in P19. And Mike Olsen rounds off the top 20. Alec King in P21. Luis Lemos in P22. William Novak in P23. Adrian Rice in P24. Lewis Steffens in P25. And P26 for Steve Wood, rounding off the 26-strong LMGT Pro grid. Then to the Hypercar AM class, Wayne Hutchinson leading the way on 157 points, only 4 points ahead of Philippe Henrique. Philippe Henrique 1 win, Wayne Hutchinson 4 wins, so you can see that wins is not everything. Guilherme Benche in third, ahead of Barry DeMarzo in fourth. William Miller in P5, Maximilian Putravki in P6, Kun Garling in P7, Robert Strachan in P8, Louis Hesketh in P9, Oliver Newman in P10, Ken Scott in P11, Risto Corpi 12th, Aaron Clark in P13, Diego Rodriguez 14th, and Joe Foltz in P15, rounding off the 15-strong driver grid. Then 3 teams in the Hypercar AM class. HPD leading the way on 172 points, closely followed though by Stuart Haas Racing on 171 points so far into the season, and only 1 point in between those 2 teams. Then moving on to the Hypercar class, Daniel Kirby leads the way ahead of John Ewan on 125 points for Daniel, and John Ewan on 117 points. Maya Rose ahead of Tom Lane, then Timon Suvic in 5th, Ross Smith, Bradley Sellers, Richard De Bruyne, George Angelidis and Brian Hall rounding off the top 10. Magnus Dahlgren, Carl Vessa, Alexander Schultz, Jason Whitehead, Cameron Barker, Gilles Lalonde, Francesco Concas, Cherry Chang, Eric Monnier and Norm Graff rounding off the top 20. Then Jeffrey Ellis in P21. 21st, Matthew Overton, Joe Foltz in 23rd, Mike Bell, Angus Tong, Xander Tolman, Ben Borman, Adrian Rice and Bruno Baggiola rounding off the 29 drivers strong grid. CMS Pro leading the way in the teams, then ahead of Team Rookie Monsters, HPD in 3rd, SKS Motorsports 4th, Storm Rider Racing in 5th, Dogs and Akiwi Racing, love that name, in 6th, Smalt Power Racing in 7th, and Eidos Motorsports in P8. Goodness me, that was a lot to get through. James, welcome in. Yeah, well, a lot to get through there, but yeah, it's shaping up to be a good one for today. Now, something that makes it even more tricky for the drivers is the fact that it is wet in some places, damp in other places, and maybe even completely dry at others. Now, we know that this is not a long lap, And we have had a chat too. Oh, that's a bit of a parking spot. Hey, no, you can't park there, sir. The track was blocked for half a second. You had a chat to George Angelidis before, and he said that he was going to gamble on the mixed weather setup that he had, which basically tells you enough. They don't know what to expect.
It's not working. Right, there you go. Hopefully it should be good now. So let me know. I'm not entirely sure why my mic's not working, but Dan was talking to himself for the last 5 minutes. So there you go.
They might have thought I was going crazy.
They probably sat back thinking Dan's talking to himself. But if my mic wasn't working, I'm not entirely sure why that is. Apologies on that one. OBS has decided to change my source input, so there we go. But look, at the end of the day, it is Mosport. It's a tricky circuit considering it's only got sort of well, they say 10 corners, but let's not forget that some of them aren't really corners here as well, especially going up the Andretti straight. You can't really turn around and say that turn 6 and 7 are really corners to even them guys got to worry about, to be honest, because they are just literally flowing off to the other side of the circuit. So in realism, they've got 8 corners, but at the end of the day, they've got 8 tricky corners. They haven't just got 8 fast flowing, nice and simple corners. They've got 8 tricky corners to deal with, and that's the thing that we are going to have to look out for here as well to see how they get on. But I believe we are into qualifying, and it is the turn of the GT3 AMS and GT3 Pros, so let's see how these guys get on here as well. So yeah, an interesting one. I think it's going to be even more interesting to see how they deal with the traffic. You know, the likes of Tom Lane, Daniel Kirby, Mia Rose, Magnus Dahlgren, Mike Bell, Ross Smith, they're going to have to do some nice little intricate moves to be able to make it through, I think would be the word that I'm probably looking for, and that's going to be tricky on its own right. So they're going to have to try and deal with traffic as well as obviously be careful, and as we've seen previously and I'm expected to see today, that's not always easy.
Life isn't easy, James. That's my answer to that. Anyways, the easiest spot to overtake to make it a bit easier, of course, down the Mario Andretti straight, which runs from all the way down from 5B into 8, which is the S's. Something that we haven't touched on yet, which is very important where the race starts, is the orange zone. That runs from turn 1, so from the start-finish line through turn 1, all the way through turn 5C. That is a bit further into the Mario Andretti straight. So that's almost half of the lap that you can overtake at the start. But if something happens, your penalty will be 3, 5, 10, maybe 20 times.
Yeah, I think that's, at the end of the day, the thing that they have got to work out. You know, they've got to put the risk against the reward early on in a 60-minute race, and they've got to all think about the fact of whether or not they're going to make their moves or they're not. And at the end of the day, they are going to have to be careful. We do have 41 cars, and the Hypercars are going to catch the GTs within 4 laps. So at any one point, we're going to see some manic action going on here with the Hypercars trying to get through the GT3s. And if they manage it all through cleanly, fair play to them. If they don't manage it through cleanly, well, that discussion will be who will be at fault. And I think at the end of the day, as we full well know, and you know, we know how much yeah, that's not ideal from Adam Gray either, to be honest, but at the end of the day, that's one of the problems and the precariousness of this circuit. They're going to have to try and get their way through and try and manage traffic, and if they don't, they're going to be in problems and they're going to be in trouble, and that could spell at some point the end of their race. So we're going to see how it works out here, how they manage that, how they get through. But it's going to be a tough one, I think. 41 cars on a minute-long circuit for the Hypercars. No, it just automatically, when you say that, it just breeds the fact that you know something's going to happen. And I think that's one of the things we're going to have to look out for.
I mean, I've never really seen an endurance race where not at least one multi-class incident has occurred. So I think it's almost impossible to avoid it. Nothing is impossible, of course. We know that. Everything's possible, but it is it makes it so much harder in the fact that this is a short track. They're going to be lapping them every 4 to 5 laps. Because this track is so short, the speed is so high. You have some high-speed corners, especially through that first sector. But yeah, let's not go to that chat about blue flag, James, because we know how different we sit about that, and we can go out. Well, we can make a whole podcast of it that is about 3-4 hours long, and we still won't have decided who's right and who's wrong.
No, and it's the interpretation of the rules. Anyway, from that one, good evening, Mr. Callum Island. Welcome in. Thank you so much for joining us there as well. And Mr. Reese, the traffic is going to be insane on this track. It is 41 cars on a minute 5 track. Yeah, and that's the thing. The hypercars are going to be doing nearly 58, 59 laps. You know, so they are going to have to try and manage it. And it's just not going to be easy and not going to be straightforward that they think it's going to go and be, but we will only see how they get on as the race goes on. Within the next 4 or 5 laps, we'll jump on board with the leader and watch how he weaves through traffic. But it is always going to be tough to see how they're going to come out unscathed, because at any one point there's going to be something's going to happen. And you know, we've discussed the GT3s battling and the hypercar trying to go through and all the other jazz that goes with it, but at the end of the day, it's how you make it through the traffic is how you successfully complete the race. And for the GT3s, how they manage the cars coming through and how they're going to manage that section as well. You know, pit stops, as we said, you know, it's going to be every 20 laps for the hypercars, so they're going to do at least 2. 30 minutes for the GT3, so they should technically do 1, but it depends on who's good with fuel. And as you can see currently at the moment in qualifying here as well, you've got Sasha Sobers sitting on top of the whole session, so he's going to be leading the GT3 class as well. So there's a lot that's going to happen today, but it's how they minimise what happens to them. I think that's where I'm trying to go with this. We will try and catch all the action. There might just be some points too much that we might miss, but at the end of the day, there is 41 cars on a minute 5 laps. So I believe the US race had 53 laps in total. Okay, so 53, not the 59 with me doing maths at a minute a lap. I probably
never trust the commentator.
No, and I probably
no commentator.
Yeah, and I probably took out the fact that I forgot they got a pit stop. So, you know, look, it's going to be manic, right? Let's face it, it is going to be manic in every 4 laps of this circuit. It's going to be manic, and well, we'll just have to sit back and see how it unfolds.
And one thing that I do know is that in the intro, I said Canada, which is not a thing. It's of course Canada and Canadian. So yeah, confused.
Yeah, I'm not sure where that country is. I'm pretty sure that's not on any map that I've read.
Yeah, just like Becky Ellie or something.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure who she is either. But get her name right, because she won't be too impressed. You know what I mean? If you start getting it right, especially as Steve.
Got it right in the intro.
Yeah, especially as Steve and me have managed to get it right for the last couple. So you know, you better crack on and see how you get on and make sure you get it right. But look, today is just going to be tough, and at the end of the day, they've got to try and manage this circuit. I don't know if I would have put 41 cars on this track. I think, you know, as we said, the possible splitting servers, it might have been worth splitting at 35 if they've got the more drivers, of course. If they haven't, then that's why you're looking at 41. But at the same time, it is going to cause some form of chaos, and I think they've just got to be well prepared that that's going to happen. They can't moan, they can't whine. It's going to happen. Something is going to happen. So, yeah, they've just got to be careful. Right as a point there, as you saw behind, with the spinner right behind him as well. So, Eugene, I think it was Eugene Missouri who's facing the wrong way, to be honest. It's not Eugene Missouri. It might be Alan Lefrancois, who is now back in the garage. So, yeah, a lot happening, a lot on track. Let's see how they get on.
Now, the lapping of traffic is not easy in any track, particularly at this track. The drying line, if it's going to be drying, won't make that easier, because if you have a dry line, then you might choose to go for slicks instead of the wets. We've only got wets, we've got no intermediate, nothing else at all, so only wets. And if you go from wets to dries and you go offline to overtake another car, well, it might end in disaster. So We're going to have to see how the race is going to unfold in terms of the weather as well, because that will make a lot of decisions a lot more difficult. That BMW is going off the road by a mile into the wall. It goes, you can see that right when it entered the corner.
Yep. And that's going to be one of the problems. That turn 2 is going to cause issues. And it's how they handle that issue with that corner. And that's the thing. You know, Becky Ely's just gone in second as well. So she's flying along on a 1:16.623. Vinicius Concalves is 1:16.346. So, you know, she's got about just over 2.5 tenths, maybe a little bit more to try and make up there. So there's a lot going to be happening. There's a lot going to be going on. It's really, I think, at a circuit on a minute 5 lap, right? I think it is how you survive. How you survive will be all of how you finish this race, and it will be between whether or not you finish first or whether or not you're out. And that's the thing, because of the nature of this circuit. That's how it's going to be.
Well, we'll see. The Hypercars is going to come out in about 40-something seconds, 50-something seconds, when the clock hits 10 minutes. And then they will do their laps. Of course, GT's allowed to finish their laps that they're on. If they cross it before 10 minutes, they can finish, I think, the lap that they're on. Adam Gray, though, doing a tremendous job. I think Eugene Mazur has also jumped up in this bunch now. And is, 12 thousandths away. Vinicius Gonçalves, though, look at that lap. That is a 1:16.088, and that is telling me that the track is drying, though. Becky Ely is purple in... Oh, well, red. Never mind. Purple and reds are very close to each other on my timing screen anyways. Dutch was purple in Sector 1 for a second. Vinicius Gonçalves, 1:16.088. What a lap time.
Yeah, Eugene Mazur just got into third as well on a 1:16.971. There's only 3 drivers in the 1:16s, followed by Peter Meyer and Adam Gray. So they're going to have to try and get in there as well. But Adam Gray's on a 1:17.59. Peter Meyer's on a 1:17.424. So we'll have to see how these ones all pan out here as we come near at the end, basically, of qualifying. So there we go.
Qualifying for the GT cars, that is. I think the clock has hit 10. It has indeed. So he has to stop on track, Adam Gray. Go back into the pits, and you can see how far he dropped it. That track really dried in the end, and that might make the choice for these hypercars even different. Because what are you going to go for? Wets? Dries? What's going to be?
Well, honestly, if it's dry at the moment, take the dries. What you do after that, well, only time will tell. But at the moment, while it's dry, take the dry tyres. If you've got that option to try and you know, take the tyres, then take them, because at the end of the day, the last thing you want to do is not take them, and it causes yourself problems. So they've got to be sensible about it all down at the end of the day, because if they're not sensible about it all, it's all going to go wrong. So let's see how they get on.
Now, these cars, of course, tremendous closing speeds on these GT cars. We're looking with Mia Rose here, purple sector 1. We know that this car is always quick, and we know that it's someone to look out for in every qualifying. Fuel is one of her best, one of her best traits. She can go on for so much longer than some of these other drivers. The Porsche helps with that as well. Super good on fuel, this car. So that helps her out massively, but it's so important, especially in this race, if you're so close to a 2-stop instead of a 3-stop, because a 3-stop can easily lose you a lap here.
Oh yeah, the plan is not to get there. You know, they don't want to be hitting 3 stops if they can, because of the fact that obviously, you know, if they're looking at 20 laps, as we just see Mia Rose go off there. That was not ideal. Dan Kirby's still out on track. If they're going 20 laps, 40 laps, you know, that second pit stop should get them to the end if they're doing 53. So for that kind of thing, it's, you know, should be a straight no-brainer, two pit stops done. And it's going to be interesting to see whether or not they end up past 2 pit stops. I don't think they're going to, and I'd be very surprised if they do. But you know, at the moment, Daniel Kirby sitting on pole with Mia Rose. Timon Suvic there is second as we go whizzing along over the grass, and there is Timon there as well. There looks like it's been an off track or an incident with Wouter de Bruyne, so we can have just a quick look and see what Wouter's been up to.
Now Wouter's always up to some interesting things. This is back in pit lane though. Oh, here he is. It was not him. There we go.
Hopefully this should be it.
Oh, flying, everything.
Yeah, I know. So he goes off there.
Yeah.
Maybe it might not have been Wouter involved in that one as well. So let's see if we can actually find who that is, as there was some mad, all of a sudden, stuttering going on here as well. Timon Suvic crashing on his way into the pit lane. Not ideal as well.
Now, he has blocked that pit entry, so no one can go in. Good, he resets back to pit lane. No one, for a moment, could choose to go back into pit lane there, which is not ideal.
No. Bear with me while I fight fires in the background. Just talk for a minute.
Mia Rose, though, is in second, now 9,000ths of a second behind Daniel Kirby, and even with a drying track and with a track progressing all the time, getting better and better and better, you know, it's still so close between all of these competitors, and that just tells you the sheer amount of confidence, the talent that all of these drivers have got. 9,000ths of a second is absolutely nothing. Of course, the shorter lap helps that. On a track that would have been a bit longer, that might have been half a tenth, but then again, half a tenth is still absolutely nothing. Nothing that we as humans can visually see if it isn't slowed down enough. So yeah, there you go, just a reference on how close these drivers are. Of course, Daniel Kirby, green sector 1, but Mia Rose in sector 1 is purple. Only, however, 14,000ths of a second quicker than Daniel Kirby across the line for Mia. She does not improve. 105.150 for Mia that last time around. Quickest lap at the moment, 104.165. That beats the quickest lap time in practice by Mia Rose. 104.248 was the quickest lap time in practice, and that is already slower than what Mia Rose has put in here in qualifying. So she has put in a personal best here on this track this evening, but it isn't enough for a pole position. Daniel Kirby, though, 103.942, obliterates that lap time that he had previously. Mia Rose, of course, stays in second. No one improves past her, but the lap time gets improved from Daniel Kirby himself. 103.942. Gap now 2.5 tenths of a second here, James.
Yeah, exactly. And just bear with me while I try and sort out some of what's been going on the screen at the moment. But they are great lap times. Kirby in the 103s as well, so it's going to be difficult there for them. Yeah, I think it is going to be big for them as well. So we're going to have to just pay attention and see how they get on here as well. But an exciting one. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be traffic managed. Well, that's literally it. That there is nothing else to be worried about. They've got to manage that traffic.
Strategy.
Otherwise,
strategy.
well, yeah, strategy as well. But they've got to manage that traffic. Otherwise, they could be in trouble.
Well, if you're managing traffic well, but you don't manage your pit stop or your strategy, and you just go guns blazing, give it everything you have, and then you have to make a stop extra, but you're only 10 seconds ahead. You're not going to get there. Definitely, yeah, there's a bit of a slide though in the 499P. Such a great car that is. Of course, they came out this season, Ferrari, and they said they were going to be up there fighting, and their words were, for once, just like a Formula 1, not a lie this time. They actually were quick. Now, of course, Ferrari did redeem themselves before Austria, or in Austria, but then again, at Silverstone, everything went completely south again for Ferrari. Anyways, the Ferrari here, the Hypercar, throughout the whole WEC season this year as well, has been an incredible car and has been the challenger from Toyota, which we haven't had for so long. That's great to see, and it is quick here in rFactor 2 as well. Of course, a great job done by the CMS guys. Of course, the Storm Gang simulation guys that have produced us with these mods.
Yeah, and we're going to speak to Ross in a little while when the driver briefing kicks in as well. So Ross is going to jump in and talk to us about the sort of where the mods are at and what there's going to be, what plans there are for it here as well. So we're going to have to see what he's got planned as well. It's an interesting thing whenever you mod anything. You know, you're going to have errors, you're going to have issues, you're going to have lots of multiple things going on, and well, hopefully it might be, it should be good. You know, they've done a great job over the season, and long shall it continue.
I mean, I think that should be it is. We've done so many great races this season, and I can't remember one moment where I went like, oh, well, this isn't quite like it is in the real world. Everything that we've done so far has been a representative of how these cars perform in the real world. So I personally think they've done an incredible job. They've done as best as they could, of course. We know, James, you, me, anyone watching at home, we're not perfect. There's always room to improve. Even if you think you're perfect, there's always room to improve. The same goes for the guys at CMS. But yeah, I think they've done an incredible job. That pit exit, though, it's gonna be a talking point, and he's just gonna smash it. Oh, good. We sent it back to pit else. That would have been an incredible shunt. But that pit lane exit I want to talk about here briefly before we get underway with the race, because it's gonna be an interesting one. What I've heard is that cars coming out of pit lane, as at every track, while Daniel Kirby is purple once again, though. Let's have a look at that first, though, because this could be another quickest lap. The gap is 3/10 now to Mia Rose. He has improved again to 1:03.864, and he might well improve once again on this lap. It's a short lap, though. What is Sector 2 going to say? It's not going to be enough at the moment for an improvement, though, but does he really need it? He's 3/10 ahead already of Mia Rose, and I don't think Mia is going to be able to improve that in this last lap. Checkered flag is out across the line for Daniel Kirby, and it is indeed not going to be a personal improvement, but it is again going to be 1:03.944. I don't know what's happening down in pit lane, though.
I'm not sure. To be honest, there was a flying car, which is always interesting, as we see Timon Suvic go off there as well. So, yeah, Kirby's flying 1:03, the only driver in the 1:03s at the moment. As you can see, Mia Rose on your left-hand side of your screen, 3 temps back, 4 temps for Suvic, 6 temps for Brian Hall, and 7 temps for Mike Bell. So at the moment, Kirby looks like he's the man to beat, but I think the only way he's going to get beaten is how whether or not he gets traffic right. I think that's the thing. You know, we may rant on and keep going about it, but it is going to be massive here. So
it's
I think
what
that's
this
one of
race
the
is
things.
about.
Yeah.
So you can't get away from it. You just can't.
No.
So
you definitely can't there, and they're going to have to try and manage it carefully, as we can see a car sitting on top of another car there as well, so trying to push him out of the way. But yeah,
I think you saw that wrong. That was just the air jacks that extended so far that the
really, so they lifted him 6 foot in the air.
Yes, the mechanics did that. Yeah,
right.
I could see 12 mechanics lifting up that car above their head.
Oh, okay. Well, you can see better than me then, because I can't see 12 mechanics lifting a person up, a hypercar up in the air. But look, it's, you know, this race is going to be interesting, and I think for people, they're going to have to be even more interested to see how it works out. And that's what we're looking at the moment. We are in the driver briefing. Let's bring in Mr. Ross Smith to have a chat with us about where we're at currently with the mods here as well. So welcome in, Ross.
Hey, thanks for having me. How are you all doing?
I'm all right.
It's been great to be in the booth. A bit wet, though, out on track, I think.
Well, it's damp and pensive about where it wants to go, and that's going to make for a fun race today, as I'm sure you guys are looking at. We have a pretty interesting weather pattern coming towards us that, as according to Wayne Hutchison says, 20 minutes we're getting splashed.
20 minutes into the race, that is.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that should be for you then right on the pit stop window, so that could be an annoying one.
Yeah, Hypercars will have a decision to make. GTs will have a little bit more of an opportunity to think about it. assuming they haven't had other issues, which we're full today. 42 drivers out there, and possibly another one popping in if he makes it, but we'll see. But you asked me about the mods. We actually had a good update for this race today. A lot of interiors have been worked on. The Porsche got a full makeover on a lot of the exteriors, so a lot of the lighting and elements look good there. There's more debris able to be had for the incidents. It should be a little bit more spectacular. And the Cadillac also had some updates to the interior, so now the readouts actually work, and so it's giving a lot of information. The Acura got the same thing. Still a little bit more work to do on that one. That one's going to actually be next. A couple things to clean up here and there, but they're on their way. And looking forward to the future, we've got the BMW is in line to get a makeover on the inside, and like I said, the Acura 499, and then the 9X8 will be the following ones after that, and then that should cover all of the new cars. And then we've got some surprises happening with the. Well, I won't make it a surprise. I'll just tell you what it is. The Toyota is going to get the Evo up kit, so we'll actually see that one introduced. Not sure if that's going to make it in before Road America. Maybe Road Atlanta if things work out, but we're actually right in the development of the 2024 series, which, as you've been watching the news, there have been some hypercars revealed, and they're going to be considered strongly for coming into the pack next year, along with
my next question. How far are you with that amazing looking Lamborghini?
So the Lamborghini, obviously it's just revealed. So we're talking with some of our contacts right now who do a lot of the modeling and seeing where they're at and what their timelines are. The goal right now is actually to have the three new introduced hypercars, the Isotta, the Lamborghini, and the Alpine to join the grid for next year. So we're cranking away there. Hopefully we'll have it, and then we'd like to have the Glickenhaus get updated, the Toyota get updated with the new Evo, and then on the GT side, we're looking at the 296, the Ferrari, and the 992 Porsche. And if we can get it, this is a question mark, would be to have the Mustang fully overhauled and upgraded to the new spec.
That would be absolutely amazing. Love the sound of that car. But Russ, for people, of course, we know that you create these amazing cars, these hypercars, GTs, the historic cars as well. Is there any other stuff that people can find, or where can they find it, and what is it?
Sure. Yeah, and thanks for asking. Yeah, we actually have our two Trans Am series that we put out, the historic, the golden era from 1968 to 72. That is in the workshop, as is the modern PA2, which is I would say the feeder series, except everybody's jumping in there. It's, I mean, they've got like 50 plus cars on the grid almost every race. It's wild, but very much in the realm of like the stock car kind of, tube frame silhouettes, but a ton of fun. That's in the workshop too. You got the three cars to choose from: Challenger, Ford Mustang, and the Chevy Camaro. But they're a great blast. A lot of people are out there running them in series right now, in leagues. LFM has looked at it a little bit, and we're excited that it's going to do well. And we've got more coming. We've got the 1971 mod is in process, and if we can get it, we would like to wrap up the 1991 that we did last year, the Group C cars, and get those published as well. But it's a tall order, because we also have an unveiled the 19. Well, I won't say what it is, but it's pre-2000. It's the next historic series that is going to be coming to us, and the cars are incredible. They're just a ton of fun, and the schedule is amazing. The races we're going to be going to is like nothing that we've really seen certainly in the rFactor 2 world, but I would go as far as saying the sim racing world, except for maybe back in early rFactor 1 days. It's going to be fun.
There we go. Now, Ross, thank you very much for updating everyone and us about how it stands with the mod, of course. Really quickly, once again, if the people want to find it, where do they find it?
Well, they can either go to the modding group's website, stormgangsimulation.com. which is the group. It's like myself, George Angelides, who's here, Matthew Overton, who couldn't make it, John Uyon couldn't make it, Don Fryman, and then our loads of testers like Jerry Chen, Daniel Kirby. They're here, and many more. There are a ton of people contributing. But head to the website. That's got a link for everything that's going on, everything that's current and modern and new and classic and all that. So it's all right there. You can also join the Champion Motorsports server, which can be found either in the links here in the description. I think the Storm Gang server link is there too. And you can join via Discord. You can head up to the website and check things out there. Lots of places to get involved.
Thank you very much. I just want to let you know that Vinicius Gonçalves in chat cannot wait for the LMDH Lamborghini. So there you go.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun seeing all the new options that are out there, and I'm sure we'll see more full grids. We're going to have a couple changes to next year's formats as we get going, but it's a bit early to start talking about that. But you guys will get more to that. And thanks to JPB for everything you guys are doing. You're doing a great job. We really appreciate everything, just bringing these cars to life and giving them the attention that they deserve. And we're going to give you a show today.
Promising a show, and when Ross promises something, usually it happens. Ross, thank you very much.
Ross, one question before you go, just quickly.
Yeah.
I want to ask one question. How's the traffic going to be today?
Everyone's getting squeezed through a funnel. That's all I can tell you. And with the wet, everyone's going to be doing pardon me, sorry about that, pretty much the entire race. Hopefully that's as aggressive as it gets, but judging from Thursday's regional race, there might be a few panels on the track.
Ooh, I'll look out for them on eBay. Hey, they might end up on eBay. Somebody might go run onto the Mosport, grab the...
It has happened before.
Yeah, the the Peugeot 9X8 rear wing might come flying off or something, and then somebody's selling it, isn't they? So, you got to be aware of these things there, Ross. But thank you so much for joining us, bud. We'll let you crack on and go and find out where your grid slot is, because that's what currently everybody is looking at doing.
Thanks, guys.
Take care. Some interesting things there, Dan, don't you think?
I mean, the fact that they're already and they've just come out, are looking at the Lamborghini, all the newly revealed hypercars is it just shows the dedication of these people working on these cars, and the dedication you need in order to make it work well, and in order to be able to implement it into a series like this. It's unbelievable, and don't forget, it's all voluntary.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I think that's one of the interesting things about doing anything like this. You're taking things to the next level. So at the same time you're taking things to the next level, there's obviously going to be issues with the previous level. It's almost inevitable that one thing leads to another. It's like when a game, and I mean a game, any game, updates their engine or they update something, somewhere along the line there's going to be bugs for it. iRacing updated their damage model. Next thing you know, we've got glitches within the 12th and 13th gen Intel processors all over the place when the car crashes. There's always need for more updates to come after the update's updated. And that's the thing. There's always an issue with something. So whenever you're going to mod something, there's going to be an issue possibly with something else that's going to have to be ironed out. And I think these guys here at CMS do a great job, and at Storm Gang. So at the end of the day, we'll just have to see how they get on. But that Lambo does look nice. It'll be interesting to see. And obviously the Ferrari looks a very sexy looking car as well. So I think overall it's going to be an interesting time. And one, hopefully, JBB will be along for next season for the ride as well.
Man, I've had a chat with Mirko Bortolotti, and that was long before this hypercar, of course, was revealed. And he, of course, is one of the drivers for this hypercar. He was so excited. He couldn't tell me anything about it. The only thing he told me, like racing drivers do, because they're all media trained.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, so annoying. But the only thing he could tell me was that he was excited and that it was looking great, or that the car was looking awesome. So,
right.
Yeah, that's all I got at the time. But yeah, he was right though with the fact that the car looks absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things, you know, they've whatever anyone does something different with a car, you know, because we can say that sometimes cars do look alike, and, you know...
What's your favourite looking car?
I like the Peugeot. I've got to be honest. I think the way the Peugeot looks is incredible. The way they've done the aero package on the Peugeot, you know, taking out that bog standard big old wing that's about 6 foot long on the back of the car, and they put a little sliver, the way that it runs the airflow over the front wings that capitalizes on why it holds it to the ground because of the flow of the air. I think they've done a great job, but it's all... You know, it's the money to have that, and not everybody's got it. Not everybody's got access to designers and wind tunnels and whatever else. So sometimes the cars do come out looking very samey. And I think at the end of the day, it's having that different dimension on how it works and that different aspect to how it looks, I think makes it amazing.
And that is, I think, why you see that Glickenhaus and all these privateer teams have been able to join the grid in the hypercar field, because that wasn't possible back in the day when Audi was in there, Porsche was in there. It was not possible for these privateers to enter. Hence what you call a privateer, though, because they're kind of the Williams of the hypercar field, and Williams isn't really a privateering team anymore. No,
well, they're not really. I don't know where they're at, to be honest. They're in a state of something. But I think, you know, they've made it cost effective, and that's the thing. You know, they've made it a capped. They've you know, made it cost effective for more teams to drive in and take part on. You know, whether or not there's cost caps in Formula One, but as we've seen, people go over it and then they get a little tap on the wrist for being naughty. But you know, there's got to be more on it, and you can see the way the Peugeot is looking now. At Gilles Lalonde has got it, and it looks a beautiful looking car, I've got to be honest. And the way it goes over and the airflow gets channeled over that little skinny back wing they've got, compared to the likes of, if you looked at the Acura or Tom Lane's car here, you know, that big old 6 foot long wide wing on the back. And
smoking Porsche.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure if it's smoking or it
is smoking.
Yeah, it's smoking quite bad. But you know, there's a lot of cars that look the same, you know. It's just how they design the aspects of it. But you know, the big old rear wing on the back and is a bog standard view, where the Peugeot doesn't have that. And looking at pictures of the Ferrari that's apparently coming in 2024, that's possibly not going to have it as well. But we'll see how it goes.
I mean, the Ferrari has got a great car. It's going to surprise me if they change the way of developing the car, or they found that there isn't really a way to develop this car anymore. Either way, that Peugeot with kind of doing the same as Formula One have done, but just completely excluding the rear wing. It's just creating that ground effect, like Formula One is doing. They're creating most of their downforce through the floor. Now that has some flaws. We especially saw that at the Sebring, a track that is so bumpy, so you can't run. That is what we're going to see as well.
And that, George Angelidis, is what I was talking about. Oh dear. I'm sure George will watch this back and let me know, but we've had an interesting discussion, as me as George, about our blue flag interpretation. So, you know.
But that wasn't if he would have lifted there, the GT behind it would have run into him.
It's 6 of one, half dozen the other, isn't it? And spatial awareness and all this other fancy jazz that goes with people driving in a race car. But look, 5 minutes of warm up to go, and it's going to be exciting to see how these cars get on. I think we're going to have to just sit back and enjoy it, and hopefully we'll see some great racing. Ooh. And some more
now content. That is what he also said. The braking performance between these cars very different. For the first time, I think in I don't know how many years, we see the top class actually has a longer braking distance than the GTs have, because the GTs, of course, have ABS. These hypercars do not. That doesn't help them in the braking zone. Now, we have come to an end for this warm-up session. That does make it so that we're going to go on to the grid. So I'll have the grid for you soon. But that makes it even more tricky to get through the pack if you can't outbrake the on-paper slower car.
It
now that
brings that meaning of facilitating, doesn't it? And we were talking about it, and we can talk about it, and we can talk about it.
This is a discussion, like I said.
Yeah, this is.
It's never going to end.
If we had a podcast about it, this podcast could go on for 24 hours because nobody is going to come up with a different strategy to anybody else's. It's how these passes are made and how this word facilitate is explained or understood, should we say, in the driver's head that are trying to facilitate this move. And I've got air quotes currently at the moment on it as well, because facilitate, well, it brings a whole new meaning. And I think there needs to be, I don't think it's just in any motorsport, to be honest. I think there needs to be a severe clarity on what we're talking about with facilitate and what does it mean to a driver compared to what it means to a slower driver, or what it means to a faster hypercar driver, or what does it mean to a GT3 AM, because it's a wonderful word that nobody understands fully in the world of sim racing in general when it comes to facilitating blue flags.
Now, knowing who you're racing is something super important in that as well. Like you just said, you have to know who you're racing. If you know that there is a slower AM driver in the car, usually what AM driver stands for is inexperienced. And drivers that are inexperienced...
I don't know. I might have to disagree on the inexperience. It's not because I'm trying to start a commentator's Barney, but because of the fact that, you know, I've known an AM driver that's driving for 6 years. Is he any experienced than the guy who's been in a pro class for 2 years? We don't know. It's an interpretation of the rules. Yeah, but look, let's bring up the start grid.
Yeah, let's go ahead with the start grid. Where's Danny Kirby? It's up pole position. Let's get away from this conversation. Mia Rose in second. Then in third is Timon Suvik, Brian Hall in P4, Mike Bell in P5, Magnus Dahlgren 6, Ross Smith 7th, Tom Lane in the Porsche in P8. Good starting position for him. Ross Smith, we talked to him earlier. Philip Enrique in 9th, 10th, Jeffrey Ellis. Then in P11, Walter De Bruyne, Jerry Chen in P12 in the Porsche. Norm Graff in 13th, 14th, Alexander Schultz in the Acura. 15th is Jules Lalonde in the Peugeot, and Sebastian Exposito in 16th. Ed of George Angelidis in 17th. Louis Hesketh in 18th. 19th, Wayne Hutchinson in 20th. Oliver Newman in the BMW. Then Jason Whitehead in P21 and Hayden Kalnan in P22. Eric Monnier in P23 and Bjorn Golda in P24. P25 for Benjamin ahead of Guilherme Benche, and that is the Hypercar field. Sachin Sobers in P27, leader of the GT field, and then Vinicius in P28. Becky Ely, P29, Eugene Mazur in P30, Peter Meyer in P31, and Max Santalop in P32. P33 for Adam Gray, Brendan McVie in P34, and then Alan in 35. In 35th, Josh in 36th. The long grid to go through. Stuart Barge in P37, ahead of Ben Scope in P38. Jamie Zalecki P39 and Stefan Miller in P14. That should be the end of the grid. 3 drivers remaining. John Maher in P41, Mike Booth P42, and JT Tammy starts from the back of the field. Don't exclude him though, because we know that JT Tammy is incredibly quick. Oh,
absolutely. You wouldn't want to be going against anything that JT can do there as well, but you know, we're going to be underway very, very shortly. These cars are now running around up that Andretti straight before the Hypercars start going over the line, of course. There is a bit of a gap between the Hypercar and the GT3. Mind you, there's 25 Hypercars, so hopefully there is a bit of a gap, because otherwise, come on lap 4, it's going to be catastrophic. But let's see how they get on, and they're going to be underway very, very shortly.
Now we know that that orange zone is there, so important for this start. Of course, no one can go until the leader has crossed the start-finish line. That's how it works, which I think is a good thing, because that just makes it so that you try and minimize the chaos, which is a good thing. You just want to make sure that everyone gets through the start cleanly, and that at least everyone can have a chance of racing. Here we go then, Daniel Kirby leading the field onto the start-finish straight. He crosses the start-finish line, and we're green. It is Mia Rose in P2, Timon Suvic third, and Brian Holt following him in P4. The top two already have got a little bit of a break. Timon Suvic clearly not awake at that start, but Mia Rose already pressurizing Daniel Kirby down into turn 4.
Yeah, and then the GT3s are going to be underway as they're going around the last couple of corners here as well, and we'll have to see how these guys get on for their start, but we're going to find out very, very shortly what happens here under the GT3s as they are now away, and currently as well is Sasha Sobers out in front, Vinicius Concalves and Becky Ely behind. So a little bit of a break from Sobers. He's made that move there, Dan, and a job done for him as well as the GT3s get underway. But there you go, back up front with the Hypercars.
This battle is raging on the top two. Have already got a little bit of a break. 1.5 seconds back to Brian Holt for Mia Rose. That gives Mia Rose a chance to just pressurize Daniel Kirby as much as she can, making sure that, you know, Daniel Kirby does not have an easy race, because the easier the race is for him, he can save fuel. Now in the GT field especially, you're going to see some drivers save fuel dramatically compared to others. That is to try and make it a one-stop instead of a two-stop, to do a little bit of a splash and dash at the end. Back then to the battle at the front of the field. Mia Rose still on the gearbox of Daniel Kirby, and it seems like she's not letting that go.
No, definitely not, and I think at the end of the day she's literally climbing all over him here as they go up through turn 5 and on that run down up in Andretti, and it is Kirby out in front with Mia Rose there as well. So it's going to be exciting. Down in the GT3s, Vinicius Concalves has just been overtaken by Becky Ely, and Becky now running with Concalves tucked up right up her exhaust.
GT battle always fierce, as we expect it, because it's so close. That was a bit of a slow turn 1 though, and well, things like that are going to determine this race, especially once the hypercar drivers are going to get through the field. And I think the first driver in the hypercar class, which is Daniel Kirby, has got the back of the GT field. Look at that. This will also, oh God, it is just unbelievable, these drivers, the amount of capacity they have to manage the traffic as well as they do, and then still stay ahead. Mia Rose though has got a bit of an incident. I think she's dropping all the way down the order. She's at the moment almost plumb lost.
She's been into the pits. She went into the pits.
Is that a penalty there of some sort? I haven't heard of any kind of penalty for Mia, but it is a possibility that has given Daniel Kirby a bit of a gap, so he doesn't need to push the traffic as much as he thought it needed to. 1.9 seconds is the gap for Daniel Kirby. That gives him a bit of breathing space, and that's nice.
Well, it would be, but he's got nowhere to go here. He can't go inside, and he can't go outside. He's going to have to just sit there and wait as well. I think Mia Rose has been off track. I think that could be one of the issues for Mia Rose as well. But there's been a lot going on within this first few laps here as well. And as we see Kirby I know. This is what I mean. He's going to run wide. Lucky enough there's not grass there, because if that was iRacing about now, they would be spinning off the side of the circuit for Kirby. But you can see how he's managing to try and deal with this traffic as we go on board here. And it's very, very difficult. And when there's stuff all the way across track, it's always going to be hard for them to try and contend with. But George Angelidis has also been off as well. Let's have a look and see if we can catch what happened to him.
And don't tell me this is traffic. The man who told us about it all.
Just bear with 2 seconds as it wants to not play ball. And I think this is how George Angelidis went off and, whoa, nope, where's he going?
Oh, goodness me. Hey, that is a bit of a, yeah.
That's an interesting one.
I've never seen that. Unbelievable. Never seen that in my entire virtual commentating career, because that is
don't
unbelievable.
look at me, I've never seen that either. How we ended up there was just absolutely incredible. But well done, George. A nice 360, lands it on the floor, and then just goes, unfortunately puts it in to the wall there as well. In the Hypercar AM, currently Louis Hesketh is battling away here as well. So it's, yeah, getting interesting already, as we already saw there as well. And Mr. Reese, what's that about? Here in YouTube chat. So let's see how it goes on here as well.
I think that was about the incident from George Angelidis. I think everyone thought the same. What exactly is happening here then? But yeah, this is...
We've got what we expected to have. You know, we've got cars off track. Adam Gray's been off, Peter Meyer's been off, Brandon McVeigh's been off, Jerry Chen's been off, Mike Bruce has been off, Alan Lefrancois has been
off the inside there.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what I mean. There is cars off all over the place currently at the moment, and it's interesting to see. I don't know if that was George Angelidis coming out of the pits there, which is possible as well, but there's a lot of people off track currently at the moment, and it's going to be like that throughout the field. They're going to have to run wide, they're going to have to try and go round the different areas, they're just going to have to try and manage what is going on in front of him here as well, as Louis Hesketh, he's still trying to get away from, I believe, Guillermo Benke, and Hutchinson has also got company as well. So Wayne Hutchinson trying to chase down Bjorn Golder. Up front, the gaps are about 5 seconds at the moment as well. In the GT3s, Adam Gray is probably the closest battle with Josh Lepetri here as well. So Adam and Josh, Josh, and he is chasing down Stephen Miller with Brendan McVeigh behind him. So it's all going off here across the track already, which is what we said would be happening earlier on, to be honest. Look at it, it's manic.
This is, well, we're going to see this the whole race long. Of course, in the beginning, it's a lot more intense, because the cars are so close. You can make up positions that easily, but also lose them very easily by going off the grass. That was one of the Porsche Hypercars, and that has also been passed by one of his fellow Porsche drivers now. I do think that George Angelidis was trying to teach me about the CLR that flipped at Le Mans, of course. So he tried to do
they go free wide. Oh, 2 seconds. They free wide. There's Hypercars coming through here. Where are they going to go? They're trying to find that gap. There's battles all the way through, and this is the thing we're going to see. You know, Vinicius Concalves has been off as well. He's been off again. JT Tammy just been off, as you just seen there as well. So there's a lot going on currently at the moment on this circuit, and it's just going to get like this, unfortunately, due to the fact of how manic it's going to be. But they've got to you've just got to try and manage what you've been given and try and close it down and get on with it. It's very difficult, and I'm not sitting here saying this is easy by any shape or imagine, but it is very, very difficult here as well. So fair play to these guys, as we've got Mia Rose and Jeffrey Ellis having a nice little battle. Weather forecast said it's going to rain for an entire week there. Nice. Sounds like the British weather at the moment, to be honest, but there we go.
Yeah, it wasn't great. Anyways, George Angelidis, I don't know where he is at the moment. I can't see him anywhere in the top 10, really.
No, he's 34th place. He's down.
Is he still in the race though? Because it has started raining.
Yeah, well, he's here. You can see here as well, and he's just poodling around in 34th. So you know, after his air flip, which was quite interesting. There's no real. Brendan McVeigh is probably another one in the GTs battling away here. There's another Hypercar off on the left-hand side. So, yeah, it's getting a bit chaotic, and I could guarantee if I have a look back at Louis Hesketh here, he's taken...
My goodness, that was a bit optimistic, wasn't it?
Yeah, and not ideal there as well, and I think that may have been beyond Golder he's had a go at. He did. And Golder there trying to, it's just not going to work.
Porsche, the windscreen wiper is on. that indicates to me that it's raining. And we can see it on the pictures as well now. It is raining, James, so this is going to throw a complete curveball. We set 20 minutes into this race car. He keeps that car going in a straight line. That was incredible driving there from Sebastian. Unbelievable.
But it depends on tyres, what they've taken at the beginning as well. If people have presumed, it was dry. If they've not had that perception that
they were doing 105, there's no way that they were on wets while he squeezes his way past another GT car, which is going to be doing often at this track. But it is raining, and I think we're going to see some drivers come into pit lane sooner rather than later.
Well, yeah, and we heard from Ross Smith, sorry, who turned around and said it does get very slippery very, very fast here. So we'll have to see how this one goes. But Kirby's trying to come back through again, this traffic, and it's just going to be, this is how it's going to be here. He doesn't want to catch that outside because you end up doing that. I believe that's George Antelides behind him. It is George Antelides.
That's George Antelides trying to unlap himself.
Yeah, It's got to be a little bit more mindful. We've got Benjamin Porteous Heath, it looks like he's out. Eric Monet looks like they're out as well. Beyond Golder, that was Beyond Golder off the side of the circuit in turn 5, so he's obviously had an incident as well. And unfortunately for him, he's not the only one. Mike Bell's been off track. You know, Max Sunflap as well. So yeah, it is really a survival track today, and these guys have just got to survive, and I think that's one of the things we will be looking out for here as well, and with the likes of Mia Rose trying to come back through traffic, as well as trying to catch Tom Lane down the road.
Look how busy this is. You can't really... this rain makes it so much harder, especially when you did start on dry tires, to go off the line, off that racing line, and try and overtake cars, especially here through turn 3 on the outsides of the corner. She is going to try it though. He's going to catch one of the hypercars as well.
That's Tom Lane, that's for position. She's just gone past Tom Lane there, and in front of her currently is Magnus Dahlgren. So there's a lot going on here as these guys are battling it out on track currently at the moment. So we're going to have to see how this one pans out. Dahlgren, Rose and Lane all fighting it out here as well, and I believe Ross Smith's just there at the bottom of your picture, so it's all getting very, very tight here as well. So yeah, pay attention to the hypercar battle because everybody is literally on the same piece of track.
I'm surprised they're staying out this long, and the speed that they're running at. They're doing a 113.03.
Not Tom Lane. Tom Lane's not doing a 113.03 because he's there trundling across the grass. So
he did a 111 last time.
Yeah, well,
again though.
It's not going to be there, but I can tell you this much: if we've still got rain, which is what we have still got, it's going to get interesting, and it will get interesting very, very quickly as Smith goes off the side of the circuit as well. So yeah, and he's got Magnus Dahlgren right behind him, who's got Mia Rose right behind that. So yeah, these guys are very close together, Dan.
Now, is Mia Rose going to go? Because it's so difficult to overtake in these conditions. If you go offline, there's absolutely no grip whatsoever. So she's going to try and force the other driver off the line. It is so tricky, especially on power. It is once that electronically, that electronic motor kicks in, there is so much horsepower going through those tires. It's a wonder really that they're able to keep this car on track in these conditions.
It's not.
Oh, well, ouch.
Magnus Dahlgren's not. And that's the thing, he's not the only one though, unfortunately. Let's have a look at what's been going on here as well. You can see obviously with Dahlgren going off, he just runs in wide, it goes onto the grass there. Ben Schub has also been off. I'm wondering if that's in the same corner. Sunflap goes round. Barge also taking a very slow moment. Peter Meyer is another man that's also been off track here, Dan. So they're all at it here. And he runs wide in that Merc as well. And obviously JT Tammy, who's trying to come back through the field. Onto the grass he goes as well. So, yeah, it's very difficult.
Out of the wall. He did not stay out of the wall there, I think. We didn't quite see the end of that incident, but I don't think he stayed out of the wall with the trajectory that he had right there. So, unfortunately for him. But there was so much to go through, and I think that the conditions don't really help that either.
No, it doesn't, and that's the thing. They've got to contend with what they've got. Going there is not ideal. You're in a rain-soaked situation, and trying to put yourself on a night outside there is not an ideal scenario. He manages to get through into turn 5. That's obviously due to the fact that obviously there was, a car. There is still a car right beside us currently here as well. So John Meyer and JT Tammy battling it out, but you've got to really pick and choose and see where you're going to go and how you're going to do it here, because at the end of the day, we've seen, could be off. Tom Lane's screen freeze blinded me into the wall.
So it wasn't the weather, but there is, once again, I think a bit of contact there between two cars.
Yeah, I think that was Alain Lefrançois, or Francois, sorry, as well. It was Lefrançois who's gone off. So it's all, it's just manic at the moment, and I'm looking through, and there's some people that are 1 lap, 2 laps down already. Gilles Lalonde is a lap down. He's still running. There's a couple of people 2 laps down at the moment as well. And there's no real battles here going on at the moment. Lepetri is another man that's trying to close up on Adam Gray in front of him, but that's probably one of the closest battles at the moment, as everybody else seems fairly spread out, apart from Norm Graff here as well, who's trying to chase down Jerry Chen. So yeah, there's a lot going on currently at the moment here as well, as we see somebody go on the left hand side going very slowly into the pits.
The rain is also not stopping. The lap times key being for the Hypercars around 109.776 with 43 minutes to go. It isn't making it any easier for these drivers. Quickest lap time of the race so far set by Daniel Kirby, 105.163. Had about 2-3 laps of clear track to do that, and that has resulted in that 109.776. Now there might be some traffic involved in that lap time of a 109, but the track is slower, and it is trying to get away from these dry runners.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things here as well. The problem is obviously they've still got this rain, as you can see here with Norm Graff. He's literally fighting to try and get the power down. Now, whether or not they're trying to go these 20 laps to try and deal with, well, that's something that they're going to have to look out for, but it's always going to be difficult. And one of the things they can't do and be doing is touching any of the curbs. That was Mike Bell, I believe, and Gilles Lalonde sitting on the side of the circuit. It might even be just Gilles Lalonde who's also sat on the side of the circuit here. So it's a very difficult. It is Gilles Lalonde is beyond the wall there. I can't really show you. There you go. He's off the side of the circuit. So there's always things that's going to be happening here, and at the end of the day, it's going to have to be played out. There's nothing they can do. It's just what they're going to do in regards to pit stops and in regards to everything else and changing tyres, because it's raining, and if they're on slicks, they're not going to have a lot of grip currently at the moment.
Now, we might see some cars on dries now, but once we get closer to that pit stop window for the Hypercars, which will be roundabout now for some drivers in about 2 to 3, maybe 4 minutes to try and make it through this race with only 2 stops. We might see some drivers try a wet tyre, because it isn't completely impossible, but with the lap times that they are running at the moment, 112.237 for Daniel Kirby, the track is getting slower and slower.
That's the thing, they're almost like a man who's trying to go for a hike through a load of marsh, and he's doing it in trainers and not welly boots, because that's what they are at the moment. They're literally hypercars on roller. Yeah, they might as well be on roller skates. as well. As we can see here, it's very difficult, but we've had Concaves. I want to see what this is, unfortunately, for Vinicius here as well. So I'm just going to see if I can see what this has happened. And he's been running deep. And this is what we were talking about. You know, when they say it's easier to go in deep, brake and all this sort of jazz. Well, that poor Audi, Vinicius Concaves, there didn't clearly think the same thing, did he? So
the contact, though, that's what I'm interested about, because I can't see any contact there.
No, it's not that, is it? It's just the fact that the turning circle of the GT3 needs to be turning in at that time that hypercar was beside him. And he can't turn in if the hypercar sat there. So it leads to lots of different questions in regards to, you know, what is what and what is right and what is not. And, you know, obviously Vinicius is not happy about it. He got
hour sliding a half there.
Yeah.
These conditions are absolutely treacherous for the drivers. They're not getting quicker. They're not getting below the 110s anymore. The last driver below the 110s was Walter de Bruyne on 109.768. Now, this is going to play into the hands of the drivers who have a mixed conditions setup, because this is where that setup in that changing period is very, very quick. Maybe Walter de Bruyne, one of those drivers who's driving with that setup. The last lap time for Daniel Kirby, just to give you context, a 1:11.389, and that is your race leader.
Yeah, but when we were talking to George, he said he was on a mixed setup as well. And he's obviously currently down in 23rd overall. That's Calvin Ross, I believe, on the left-hand side there. Not Calvin Ross, Ross Smith, sorry. It's another individual that I know as well. But if we look back, Ross Smith's been off. Louis Heskevs has just been off as well. Max Umferlap as well, Ben Schub, Magnus Dahlgren.
Someone else has just gone off in the back of picture. I don't know who that was.
That was Norm Graff, I believe, as well. So Norm's been off. Sebastian Exposito has been off. You know, I could sit here for 5 minutes just showing you the whole load of everybody going off. It'd be like playing the Benny Hill theme tune at the moment, because there's so many people. So much has happened of people off track that I would literally press replay and I could do a 10-minute clip of just the incidents, because it's the treacherous conditions, the short lap time, the 42 cars, or 43, obviously we haven't got that now. We've lost Stuart Barge, Bjorn Golder, Jason Whitehead, Benjamin Porteous Heath and Eric Monet already. And we're, what, 20 minutes in? Not even that. Yeah, 20 minutes, go over 20 minutes. So, yeah. It's treacherous. It really is. And there's another one off the side of the circuit as well.
Yeah, well, this...
And that was, I think, Sebastian Exposito again. So
again for him, that's unlucky.
When do they come in? It's drying now. We've got no window wipers, but that rain has just caused a manic period here.
Now, we did say that we were going to be showered by about 20 minutes into this race.
Look at it, the complete and utter chaos. Let's have a look and see if we can see who that was. It started with Ross and Suvik, I believe, and then...
2 individual spins, I think.
Yeah, Louis Heskev there as well. Or was that Alexander Schultz? It was Alexander Schultz. Somebody's off the side of the circuit. Norm Graff is taking it sideways. He goes round, and then next thing you know, Heskev comes round, goes, nope, I'm not having any of that. And then it all just gets a little bit manic. So, yeah, it's tough here.
This track in itself, even if it's dry, with these hypercars and these GTs is
Kirby's spun it on the way into the pit lane.
Has he? I think he's just in his pit box. Yeah, he's in his pit box. You can see the rear of that car.
He's in it. Yeah, sorry, he's in there. But yeah, it's getting
That's
a
a very
manic.
weird angle to be in your pit box, though. That right front tyre man is going to have a bit of a hard time getting it off. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've got Adam Gray here, who's in a battle currently at the moment with Eugene Mazur and Stephen Miller. I think it's Stephen, not Stefan. Just saying.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
I'm assisting you because I've got
Stephen Miller.
It's Stephen Miller. Yeah, I've got a funny feeling it's just Stephen Miller. But yeah, Adam Gray and well, Miller's coming up behind him now, but Adam Gray, Eugene Mazur,
Even Miller.
and I think it was not Mike Bell as well. So yeah, getting a little bit manic.
Now, where do you look in these kind of situations? We're trying to keep up with all the action, but there's just so much happening right now that you just can't show all. You can't show everything. We do see that Daniel Kirby has continued his way again. There are a few people that still have to make their pit stop. Now, we did get promised by Ross Smith before this race started that 20 minutes is what he could do, and some people were a bit in between that. So yeah, I don't know.
Me neither. It's just, it gets for, it makes interesting racing, shall we say, here as well. So JT Tammy is fighting his way up through the order. He's currently sitting third in class, is JT at the moment, and he's chasing down Jamie Selecki in front of him.
It's an unbelievable comeback.
Yeah, he's done an absolutely stellar job, to be honest, but I think there is a massive difference in lines here. If you watch with Zelecki compared to what JT's doing, I think Zelecki is completely different. Timon Suvic's going to come around on your right-hand side. There he goes. And there you go, look. Zelecki's not even in that corner while JT's already turning. So I think JT, although at a very difficult circuit in a very difficult conditions, has got this one nailed, to be fair. Look, there goes Zelecki now, unfortunately for him. So Zelecki's gone off track.
Lap times are staying the same though, getting quicker 2-3 tenths every lap, but that's not really something you can consider of a quick drying track. It is sunny out on track for the time being, for whatever you can call sunny. Still very overcast, but the sun is trying to poke through. It's 21 degrees ambient temp, or track temp at the moment, so not too hot at all.
No, and we've got people coming out of the pits at the moment. Jeffrey Ellis is a DNF here as well, and unfortunately this is why.
What have you done then, sir? Oh, it's a high-speed spin though. That's a pretty hard hit into the barrier.
Yeah, Max Sumferlap. Round,
that car has already got no rear wing. That might be one of the reasons why that has happened.
Yeah, and we've also got Timon Suvic here as well. He's gone off, and that's a barrier waiting. Yes. Gilles Lalonde around turn 5. Goes over the barrier as well.
Rear wing either.
Nope.
No, it's Peugeot, so it doesn't have
Sumferlap's obviously on his way, hopefully into the pits. So there we go.
Well, with no rear wing, it's going to be difficult, especially when you need the downforce on the back of the car. And we do see him, I think, the second car in camera shot there in pit lane. He was back down into pit roads, trying to get that car fixed. Mechanics trying to put on a new rear wing to get him going again. Hayden Callan, though,
yeah,
P3 for him is not bad at all.
No, not currently at the moment. He's sitting in obviously third in class. He's doing an absolutely stellar job. Wayne Hutchinson's in front up the road here as well. We have lost Louis Heskev, Felipe Enrique, Peter Meyer, Max Sumferlap sat in the pits. I don't know if he's going to come back out. Depends if they get a wing on him. Stuart Barge, Bjorn Golder, Jason Whitehead, Benjamin Porteous-Heath and Eric Mornay. And we've just lost Jeffrey Ellis as well. Even Wouter de Bruin has been taking trips off the side of the circuit here as well. So it's showing how difficult he was. What did we say? A battle of trying to keep it on track. And that's it. Where to register for this championship sim station? There's links in the description below, or if you're on the JPB or if you're on the CMS YouTube channel, you can obviously get links to the Discords. There's links to the website. There's links galore there, sir. So check the description and get yourself involved as well. It is a great series, difficult racetrack, I think, Dan, difficult conditions.
It's not making it easy for the drivers at all. Daniel Kirby, though, at the front of this field, is managing this race. Well, he's not under pressure at all anymore. Everyone has made his pit stop. Mia Rose has come out 10 seconds behind Daniel Kirby. It's well, 15. It has just gone up on my timing screen, but unbelievable. The amount of pace that Daniel Kirby has been able to keep up during this period is absolutely incredible. Not only that, Ross Smith is now in third from 7th on the grid. and he's 31 seconds back on Daniel Kirby, 15 on Maya Rose.
Yeah, there's gaps all the way through the field. It's really difficult, even down in the GT3s. You know, we've got one lap already. We're half an hour in, and we've got lapped cars. Josh Lepetri is lapped here from the leaders. It's incredibly insane how this has happened. Like, literally nobody is under 2 tenths at the moment, apart from Brian Hall, who's battling closely here currently at the moment with Jerry Chen. But this is literally the battle on circuit currently at the moment. That rain burst, Dan, caused so many issues that people have just gone off. People are out, and you know, it's caused chaos. So yeah, difficult conditions for these drivers.
Now, I think we've got about 4 or 5 drivers out of this race. Jeffrey Ellis.
How many? Sorry.
Out on nice. 4 or 5.
We've got 8.
So 8. 8 out.
Louis Hesketh, Felipe Enrique, Peter Meyer, Stuart Barge, Bjorn Golder, Jason Whitehead, Benjamin Porteous Heath, and Eric Monet.
There we go.
So yeah, a lot of people, a lot of people. But yeah, it's just the nature of the track and the nature of the conditions, and it makes you wonder whether or not that discussion about whether or not they should have gone onto wet tyres, because clearly they were expecting it to go dry, but that pit stop to go to wets, that pit stop to go to dry, you can't do that. You can't do that. There's a piece flying across the track there. That's on eBay later.
I'm going to buy that before you.
Yeah, I'm going to get it. Go and pick up a piece of the car here as well. But, you know, you're looking at things like that, and it puts you in that position to realise what has been going on. Norm Graff, you know, Norm's sitting in 9th overall here, and that's Daniel Kirby behind him, who's going to lap him in 9th in 32 minutes. That's insane.
Well, I did not expect it to go that way, especially not with the amount of traffic. But I think that hasn't helped. That he's going to box it in. He's going to wait though. Good, well done from Norm Graff to wait behind that GT car, just making sure that he can get past that, or that, well, Daniel Kirby can get past him easily. He's not making it hard for the race leader.
Oh, there's a car off.
Watch out though, Daniel. There's a car coming back onto the road right in front of the leader. And I don't know who that was.
Brian Hall.
Yeah, that was Brian Hall.
So now we're talking 8th place has been lapped. 8th.
And Cherry Chen is not too far up the road either.
No. It's incredible currently at the moment. We've now got 9 cars out. So we've lost somebody. We've lost. Oh, actually, Jeffrey Ellis is also out. So yeah, it's incredibly difficult when this is happening, because of the fact that, you know, there's not anybody close to each other. It's really tough. Magnus Dahlgren, he's got about a second up the road here as well. He's currently trying to get hold of Ross Smith, who is literally trying to get past 2 GT cars at the same time, with Tom Lane trying to waver his way through. That Lambo of Mike Bruce there has just been completely, unfortunately, put out on the side of the circuit, and the BMW a little bit more sensible, but Ross Smith and Magnus Dahlgren are now too close together, and there's a Lightning McQueen liveried car, I believe that is, I think it was, on the side of the circuit as well, and that looks like Sebastian Exposito. So let's see what he's been up to again.
Not the first time that he's had something happen, and this time that was in reaction. That was a bit of a surprise for him, I think, that hypercar all of a sudden stopped in the middle of the track. And, well, he had to take avoiding action, and with how tricky, how slippery the surface is at the moment, he just had no way of ever catching that car.
No, and he's 2 laps down here as well, which just seems bizarre.
Short lap though, short lap, keep in mind.
Yeah, I know they're only 2 minutes behind. If we were at Le Mans, it would be fine, I get it, you know, but...
On any normal track, I think Daniel Kirby would have only lapped up to P12, so it does it is a bit exaggerated by the fact that the gaps are big, but it's also short track.
Yeah, I do agree with you. 2 laps is 2 minutes 5 seconds. Okay, 2 minute. I'll tell you what. I'll give them 2 minutes 10. You know, yes, it is a long track. What they haven't contented for here is nobody. They tried to do a Lando Norris to drive dry tyres in the wet weather, and it didn't quite work out for 9 people. Maybe going into the pits, putting that wet weather on to come out and change again, at least you're still in the race. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but that if you are 5-6 seconds slower with the wet tyres, watch out! This is Ross Smith. That was, well, traffic playing a part there as well, but also himself just completely underestimating the grip or overestimating the grip that he had through that corner. Now, what I was talking about was the fact that it is so difficult. The conditions made it tricky, but if you go into wet tires and you're 6-7 seconds a lap slower, yes, you stay in the race, but after 5, 6, 7 laps, you're gonna be a lap behind anyways. So,
but you're still in the race.
Yeah, but
you're still gonna get.
He's in the race now, and he's 2 laps behind.
Yeah, but you're still gonna get. You think about it. You know, if you can get up to 10th place, you're still gonna get points. And
it's dangerous for yourself as well, being 6-7 seconds a lap slower than the other cars in your class. So I don't think the risk is worth it. Plus, you have to take into account that with a pit stop, you already almost lose a lap. No, I don't think pitting for wet tires was the best option. However, as you know, we might view things differently, and that's the case in this one as well. Should we just agree to disagree?
We can always agree to disagree. It's the nature of having differences of opinions, but I respect your opinion, and at the end of the day, it is what it is. But you've got to look at the bigger picture. Would the 9 cars now be out if they made 40 seconds or whatever on a pit stop? It's, I don't know, swings and roundabouts, I think, would be the easiest thing. Woodward de Bruin is trying to catch down Alexander Schultz, and just to top it off as well, for Daniel Kirby, he has lapped Woodward de Bruin, and he's just about to lap Alexander Schultz, which means he's lapped the field up to everyone in 5th place, and we've only got 22 minutes, so within 40 minutes, he's pretty much nearly lapped the whole field.
That is unbelievable. The pace that Daniel Kirby has as well. Now, Mia Rose is not far off it. She's gained even on the last couple of laps on Daniel Kirby. So don't count her out of this either. She is in this, and she is in this to fight. She wants that first position. Magnus Dahlgren and Ross Smith, the only other drivers together with Mia Rose, on the lead lap. That is crazy.
Oh, Becky Lee! Oh!
That is how it should happen. And
I bet you Becky is not thinking that in her car.
I know it's close, but that's how. That was smooth. That was good from Daniel Kirby there. That was a risk that he could take, and I can guarantee you that Becky Ely saw Daniel Kirby coming from a mile off. So she kept it to the outside of the corner. That is what I think earlier on went wrong there at exactly the same corner. It's just knowing which driver you're up against and if that driver is going to make a dive, especially now with the pressure from Mia Rose. Daniel Kirby is not going to play around.
No. He's not going to play around. He wants to get away. He's got 3.9 seconds to Mia Rose, who's just probably going to pop in at the bottom of the screen there. He's gone on the exit. She's coming in. But he's obviously, Kirby's already up the road there. But it's...
She's gaining though. She's gaining.
She was, yeah. It was down to 3.9. Is now back out to 4.7. I don't think, if I'm on, in all honesty, and it's no detriment here, I don't know if Rose is going to have the pace to stay with the flying Kirby. Now he's got remotely partners. There's a big incident there as well. Eugene Mazur and Gilles Lalonde. Let's have a look at that one.
Now, has happened here? Because that's 2 cars off the road at the same time. Don't tell me that there was a lap car involved in that, and it was. The other spin was just on his own, though, I think trying to avoid whatever was going to happen ahead of him, stamped on the brakes, and that car just went from underneath him. Was that Daniel Kirby though, coming through the team?
Yeah, it was. It was Daniel Kirby there as well, your race leader. He's now got 3.3 to Mia Rose, but he's pretty much got a clean track here as well. So we'll have to see how this one pans out. We would give you information regarding pit stops, but it's all over the shop at the moment. People have been in and got damage done, and people have been out, and people are DNFing, and people are in again. Eugene Mazur is in as well. George Angelidis managed to unlap with the. I point this out. George Angelidis is 5 laps down in class, right? Within 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see where we're going.
Yes, this would have been like 2 or 3 laps on a normal track. I will keep. This is a track. That's Mia Rose, though. Mia Rose, excuse me, trying to come through the field. Or was it? Yeah. Oh, good, because that could have absolutely ruined the race at the front of the field, though. Mia Rose has gone up into P1, though. From what I can see, she's ahead.
Kirby's in the, yeah, he's been in the pit. He's in the pits.
So that is the first of the pit stoppers then.
Yeah. This should be the last one, I believe.
Yeah, I can try and give the people an update on the pit stop, so hang with me here. It is Daniel Kirby into pit lane now. Mia Rose, Magnus Dahlgren, Ross Smith, Wouter de Bruin, Alexander Schultz, Norm Graff, Oliver Newman, Simon Suvik, Jerry Chen, Wayne Hutchison, Brian Hall, all made only 1 pit stop, so they need to make that second one. And it is Daniel Kirby who was the first one to make that second pit stop after Cherry Chan. He's just come out of pit lane, so he's in P12 or P11, dropping back, but he has made that pit stop, so he's going to gain some positions back. Something that will keep after the pit stops is the fact that Daniel Kirby was almost a lap ahead of well, he was a lap ahead of Wouter de Bruin, so he's going to stay probably in P4, P5, somewhere around that. And come out of the pits having made his second pit stop.
Yeah, but that should be the final one. So
yes, 20 minutes to go. We made his pit stop.
Mia Rose
so
is in now. Yeah, Mia Rose is in now. Kirby's coming up the Andretti. So it should be, how close can Kirby get to Mia Rose? Rose is still sitting in the pit lane there as well. So
got a shorter pit stop though, because she stopped later. She has a shorter pit stop. Keep that in mind.
Kirby's here. Mia Rose is still there. Kirby's there at the bottom of your screen. He's going to retake the lead. Yeah, he'll get it by a bit of what they call a country mile. Mia Rose is still in there, and is now Kirby's out in front. It depends on whether or not she's going to be up and running. She is up and running now, and we'll give you the gap as soon as she's out on track. But currently, at the moment, Kirby's
massively.
Yeah.
Is there tyres involved in this? Because I have a feeling that maybe Mia Rose has taken tyres and Daniel Kirby hasn't.
Yes.
I have a feeling there is, because the gap can't have gone up that much with just fuel.
Well, as we know, it's always difficult, isn't it, as well? So it's always going to be tough. But let's see how it works out. Whether or not Kirby felt that stint in the rain, if he was still on the dries, he's managed to hold on to his tyres because they're not getting used. As you get what I mean, they're not, you know, never mind. Anyway, but let's see, as he's just about to go past on Magnus. I knew what I was trying to say, but it just wasn't sounding right.
Yeah, well, difficult one. Daniel Kirby though. We're gonna see how we can maintain that lead. That'll probably tell us if Mia's got new tyres or not. I think that's where we have to look.
Well, at the moment she's 7 seconds, currently 7 seconds back, I believe. So we're going to find out very, very shortly here as well. But Kirby's not, he's trying to get past Dahlgren at the moment. Dahlgren's there in front of him. So they're trying to obviously battle it out for first place. There's obviously back markers involved as well. The Hypercars, I believe that's Jerry Chen on the left-hand side in the red and white stripes. So in an ideal way, you know, we bring in multiple conversations, but I think for Kirby, I wouldn't be making a move now because I know that Dahlgren is going to go into that pit lane, whether or not be this lap or whether it be the next one, but he will be heading into that pit lane very, very shortly. So it's always going to be tough, and it's looking tough as well.
Well, the thing with that is that Daniel Kirby doesn't want to lose any time. He doesn't. No. He does not want to lose any time to me behind him. So, yeah, difficult one for Daniel here with, what, about
15 minutes.
15 minutes to go. But I would choose, indeed, for what James said, stick behind Magnus Dahlgren because he hasn't got the worst pace. And just make sure, if you do make the pass, it's at least safely so you keep yourself in the race. Because it's completely unnecessary to take the risk now.
Absolutely, there's no need. There's no need. You know he's coming in. You know, when did Dahlgren last pit down on that one?
Dahlgren last pitted, I think, about 19 laps ago. So it should be coming in either this lap or next lap. But Daniel Kirby's not going to hang around because Magnus Dahlgren has been passed by Daniel Kirby now. If Daniel Kirby or Magnus Dahlgren stays out for long enough and he's going to be caught by Mia Rose, then this might work out in favor of Daniel Kirby now.
Yeah, because obviously if it takes Mia Rose as long as it took Kirby to get past Dahlgren, who clearly is a stoutly defended driver, then obviously she's going to have the same problem, I should say, when I put my teeth in. I've clearly forgot my denture cream this morning as well. So, you know, Daniel Kirby might be hoping that Dahlgren gets caught, but you can see Mia Rose in the background. She's just got nowhere to go through this bunch of traffic. She's weaved her way through, overtaking Jerry Chen, and I believe that's George Andalidis there behind her, and then goes and spins up. That's her chance is gone. Kirby's made no mistakes.
What's happened there then?
Watch Wayne Hutchinson. Hutchinson's there on the left-hand side in the brown car. Mia Rose comes on, Hutchinson comes over, they lock together and in the wall.
That was a spin on herself, right?
Yeah, and then obviously they locked up with the Hutchinson after. And she made contact with Wayne Hutchinson. So, you know, it's always going to be...
Is that on the rejoin, though, or is that on...
to be honest, it looked like Hutchinson came over on her and shortened the track off. If that is the case, then obviously, you know, that's the situation currently at the moment. But, yeah, I'm sure that will be an interesting conversation between Mia Rose and Wayne Hutchinson.
Now... we're going to have a look at what Mia can do now. Coming back through the field, Magnus Dahlgren has, of course, passed her. Was ahead at the time of that incident. And he's got a bit of a gap now. Magnus Dahlgren, I don't know if he's coming to pit lane yet. But he's been going for quite a while. He's the leading Ferrari as well. His next Ferrari friend is all the way down when I get a time to look, in P15, Sebastian Exposito. So he's doing very well in that Ferrari. So I think for Magnus Dahlgren, it's just damage limitation here, trying to stay out as long as possible because he has only made one pit stop. He's going to have to stop at some point anyways.
Yeah.
So he's going to drop back for sure.
Oh, he clearly is, but the difference is he going to go to De Bruin? You know, now obviously pit stop cycle, Kirby's been in. Ross Smith is the last car here who hasn't been lapped in conjunction with Kirby. He's coming around turn 4, dropping up the hill, and Smith's on his way up the Andretti straight. So, you know, Smith's got an opportunity to stay in front, but 11.5 minutes remaining here. There's no way now there's no way back, I think, for people behind him. Dahlgren and Mia Rose, I think, is basically it's Kirby's to lose. It really is at the moment.
Well, Daniel has been the man to beat, like you said, for this whole race, and it hasn't been easy for him. He's got some challenges. He's had his own contact with one of the back markers as well, so he hasn't been faultless either. But he's just been the best of the lot so far with the conditions, with everything, trying to keep it clean. And with about 10 minutes to go, the only thing he needs to do realistically keep that car on the track.
Yeah. You know, we've got 10 cars out now. We've just lost Mike Booth as well. It's a very difficult conditions, and this is what Mike did. Nope. Nope, that's the Mia Rose incident. Just bear with. There we go. There's Mike in the Lamborghini.
Oi, oi, oi.
Yeah, snap.
What's gonna happen here then?
Snap left, snap right, and unfortunately for him, it went off. So it's there's a lot of tough incidents and accidents going on at the moment.
Well, this just hasn't been easy for anyone. Now, he's going to come into pit lane there. That is something that I'm wondering. Daniel Kirby, that line looked like he was almost being forced into pit lane, though wasn't, and he can continue his way. Daniel Kirby, though, how many laps of this race has he led? I think the only laps he hasn't led was when he made a pit stop. Yeah,
pretty much. He's pretty much led from start to finish. Nobody's ever got near him. Esposito's been off again. Maya has also been off track as well. Yeah, tracks causing some interesting features.
And we said this before as well. It's not only the weather, but this track in itself, with how short it is through the traffic, they're lapping the GT cars every 4 or 5 laps, which makes it so difficult for these hypercars to try and have their own battles at the same time as well. Mia Rose now, though, on the back of Magnus Dahlgren. She's gonna get past. Is she not? No, she isn't. Stellar defense there from Magnus Dahlgren. Stellar defense, I have to say. But Mia Rose is on the back of him on his gearbox, trying to make his way through, or make her way through. Excuse me. But it's so incredibly difficult just getting offline. The track is back to where it was before, though. Drivers are putting in personal best lap times. A bit of a look there, though, from Mia Rose. Gonna make the corner wider for her, though. But this battle is gonna go on. And like I said, Magnus Dahlgren, this is actually working out in favor of Daniel Kirby.
Yeah, because every time they fight, Kirby extends a gap. And this is where we were talking about Dahlgren's defenses earlier on. As well, when he was trying to get, when Kirby was trying to get past, he couldn't. You know, he managed it going up here, but it's whether or not Mia Rose is going to be able to do the same thing with somebody going off the side of the circuit there as well. So yeah, there's now Mia Rose is trying to go around the outside, and they've got a GT car there as well. Uses the GT car, blocks in Dahlgren, and says thank you very much, I'm off ski. So Mia Rose has made it through, and has cleared Dahlgren, and Dahlgren's headed in, which is what we were expecting.
That was very well done from the GT, though, because the GT kept the inside line, making sure that the hypercar with the superior downforce, the GT really hasn't got any downforce. It's really the rear wing and the dive planes at the front of the car that create any kind of downforce on that car. And then you have this hypercar which is full of wings, everything to create downforce. So the superior downforce of the hypercar, it is so much easier for that car to just go around the outside instead of diving up the inside. So I think that's really well done from whoever was in that GT to acknowledge the fact that these hypercars are quicker around the corner, just to keep that inside, and they'll pass you on the outside.
Yeah, this is the battle down in the GTs currently with JT Tammy and Becky Healy as well. These guys are battling it out for second place in the championship at the moment. So we'll keep an eye on this one. Just be aware there are obviously hypercars coming through here as well. But Becky Healy and JT there. JT battling his way up from basically plumb last, I think he was at one point in class as well, and has done a great job to get up to here.
6 minutes remaining, a bit more, and then this race will come to an end. 60 minutes, you said, James, 59 laps. At the moment we've done 46, so I think that 53 is even going to be hard to reach. Now, of course, rain and everything, we don't know how the conditions were in the other serve that we talked about earlier. That was that pit exit that I said was going to be tricky. And it definitely has proven to be the case as well. JT Tammy, though, he's had such a stellar comeback drive. Becky Eady is now the next prey for JT. But we know that Becky is such a difficult driver to get past, and she knows how to make that Acura as wide as possible.
Yeah, I think she's in the Audi actually, Dan, if I'm not mistaken. Unless I'm looking at something completely different, am I?
The bottom right for me says Acura. The bottom right for me also says that there was contact between some of the hypercars. But at the bottom right of the screen for me says she's in an Acura.
I thought
JT Tammy is in an Aston Martin.
Yeah, they are. Sorry, my bad. I was reading the wrong one. Yeah, so...
Isn't Ashton Sobers in the lead? Isn't he in an Audi?
Is he in the Audi?
Mercedes. No, Mercedes.
He's in the Sobers. Yeah. So, yeah, that was my fault. I got that completely wrong there, but never mind. They're still battling out on track, and they've still got hypercars going through. Gilles Lalonde just go through, and now we've got Magnus Dahlgren, who's trying to get up to Mia Rose here as well. And Dahlgren, mind you, is a long way off Mia Rose at the moment, so I don't think that's likely to happen. This is the closest battle on track by a country mile. Here as well, 4, 6, 8, 10, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Yeah, 10 cars out, and John Mayer in the pits, so it could be number 11.
This has been a race of attrition, really. Trying to keep, just trying to keep alive was difficult enough, especially during that period where we had that little bit of a splash of rain. That didn't make things easier. Made it a lot more difficult, especially for the hypercars passing the GT cars, and some GT cars paid the price for that even though they had nothing to do with it. Some hypercars paid the price for that even though they had nothing to do with it. So yeah, it's
Mia Rose off.
What has happened? Is she off again? What's happened now then? Oh, grass.
Whoa. Ouch.
Yeah, that's a rear wing off. She's going to have to go back in pit lane and lose, and she's going to lose all the time that she gained. Going to lose all the points that she has. Do we have pictures of Mia Rose? There she is, trundling back to pit lane. Has she gone round again?
No.
I think she's gone round again.
No, she went off at turn 4. She went on 4,
okay.
She's on 5 now.
Okay, so she's making her way to pit lane then. She's just come out of 5C. You've got 5C at this track. I've heard 5A and 5B, but I've never heard of 5C or something.
I don't know what track map you're reading.
I am reading the track map.
Oh, she's up again.
Provided us with from CMS.
Oh, okay. I'm reading just a box standard map, and I've got just straight 1 to 10. But you know. Hey-o. I didn't realise they put a 5C in, have they?
Yes, there is 5A, 5... So Moss Corner is seen as 5A and 5B. So the first right-hander is 5A. Then the second right-hander that tightens up a lot is 5B. And then the left-hander onto the Andretti Straight, which isn't really a corner, is considered to be 5C. Anyways, Timon Subic trying to make his way past Sherry Chen. This is a battle that has been brewing for a couple of laps now.
Don't do
He's
that.
going to try and make his way past, but not this time round.
No, but boy, oh boy, but they're close. It's going to be this run-up Andretti. I think Suvic's going to try and get a better run, which he had done. Chen sent that car sideways, and now he's going to be literally under pressure by the time they go up. Suvic's going to try and run the outside of 5-8, and under the bridge he goes, and then sweeps round. Job done for Timon Subic.
P7. Now Norm Graf is the next one. 3.4 seconds for Timon Subic. If he has got considerable pace here with about 3 laps I would say for Timon Subic remaining. This could be still a battle on our hands here.
Yeah, it could well be as well. One of the things I do want to pick up is Alan Lefrancois and Stephen Miller. This is obviously down in the GT3 AMS. This is taking the final podium spot here. And Lefrancois in the Porsche, of course, and Miller in the McLaren. So we'll see there. And that looks like Mia Rose has just gone off again in the background there. But these guys are fighting out. Oh, Miller squeezed in there like an orange in a juicer. I'm not going to lie on that one. And Miller squeezed Lefrancois there. Unbelievable. Full squeeze, fuel all over the track. Unbelievable. Sorry, I couldn't think of anything else to say.
James getting a bit excited there. Oh, he's off. Stefan, where are you going?
Stephen.
Excuse me. Don't kill me for it.
Wherever he was going to get there by FedEx, because unfortunately he's off the side of the circuit, and Lefrancois is now taking third in the AMS there, and has now got Adam Gray 3 seconds up the road. JT Tammy still battling away with Becky Healy here as they're going off round turn 5. We've got 4 seconds remaining. Where is Kirby? Kirby's here. I believe this will be the final lap down.
Well, this is indeed the final lap because time has expired. And Daniel Kirby, it's been such an impressive drive from a man who's won loads and loads of races already in this season, and he's gonna come round the last corner faced with a lot of traffic, but it doesn't matter for him. He wins here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, and what a drive it was from Daniel Kirby, the best of the lot. Not clean. Not at all, but the best of the people who did have some moments. Daniel Kirby had some himself, but managed to keep it on track. What a drive from him. Oliver Newman has won in the Hypercar AM class. Good drive from him as well. They were looking at Sasha Sobers in the LMGT3 Pro class. He's now rounding up 5B. Then I can perfectly show you which is 5C. That's this left-hander coming onto the straight.
It's 5 and 6 and 7.
It's 5C. Listen
not.
to the Canadians.
5 is one corner. 5 is the right-hander, which is Moss. And then they got this. I like how they put C in, right, when they include 6 and 7 as this bit here, and then they go into 8. Unbelievable. But anyway, Sasha Sobers is going to be...
6 and 7 isn't even a corner, really.
Exactly, but apparently 5C and 5B are. Anyway, Sobers is over the line, taking the GT3 class. Currently pro win there as well. Stellar job. Mazur's going to come over the line and take the AMS down. So, Eugene Mazur, Stefan Sobers, Daniel Kirby. Stellar job from all of them.
Well, this race was a race of attrition. We've talked about it before, and well, who managed that the best, you might ask? You can see it top left of your screen, Hypercar Pro Class, Daniel Kirby. In the end, a 38.9 second gap to Magnus Dahlgren. That is also because, well, we saw it, Mia Rose, so unfortunate for her to spin that car on the last lap, or on the last lap, in the dying stages of this race. Lost her P2 that she's been fighting for so hard.
Yeah. Definitely did there as well, and unfortunately for me, it hasn't worked out. But it is basically kind of in, you know, what it is on that one. You kind of have to try and deal with the situation, and yeah, not an ideal situation there as well. So unfortunately for them, they're going to have to just kind of go again and hope for the best that they come back stronger next time.
Now then, we've got all 3 classes, and we've got our winner in all 3 classes. All in all, James, a race that had everything. Crashes, spins, rain, drying track. A track that was getting wetter and wetter with every lap we turned. And in the end, there were 4 drivers who came out on top. Of course, it was Daniel Kirby with the win in the Pro class. In the AM class, it was, if I remember correctly,
Oliver Newman.
Oliver Newman, indeed. So, yeah, all in all, I think a race that had everything.
Yeah, it definitely did as well. We're just moving into we'll be very, very shortly get back with the interviews here as well, as we are just changing over currently at the moment. So bear with us on that one. We are trying our best to do this for you, and there we go. The image is back.
There we go. Beautiful, beautiful Canadian Tire Motorsports Park.
Mm.
Lovely track, though. I've really come to fall in love with this car today. However, though, for this track, excuse me, this track, it's been a short track, a difficult track to drive on, but yeah, oh boy, did it produce some good racing.
Oh, it definitely did, and it's been unbelievable, but it's claimed so many victims. So many people have unfortunately taken to the issues with it, and that's the thing. It's claimed its fair share of people. Let's just put it that way here as well. So yeah, it's been a tough track for some. I'm not going to lie, but yeah, I think a few people aren't going to be loving this circuit. I'm not going to lie here either. So let's see what happens on that one.
I can see though that we're not back to pictures as far as I can see.
No, we are back now.
Hey, there we go. We're back now.
I just had to wait. It kicks me out, brings me back in, and unfortunately I had to bring up an image while it did funky stuff. So there we go. But yeah, interesting one. And you got Sashin Sobers for an interview there, Dan.
Sashin, welcome. Welcome in. Oh no, he's not here, is he? Is he here? Is he not here? Sashin, hello?
Hello.
Hey, there he is, Sashin Sober. Well, first of all, congratulations on your victory in the LMGT3 Pro Class. How was that race for you?
It was a bit tricky at the start, you know, the rain, everything, and then you had cars going off like almost every corner. But it was tricky trying to figure out if to change to wets or stay on the dry tires. But I had already planned to make a pit stop, and then like the lap when it was coming in, the rain stopped, so it's a good thing I
Did you at
didn't.
some point consider wet tires? Because that's what
Yeah,
we've been going on about for this whole race now. Was it wet tire territory?
like coming onto the end right before the rain stopped, it was really tricky. So I was about to go, but then I didn't, and I was waiting on somebody. I didn't want to be the first pit, so.
Now, how difficult is it though, if it to make that call? Like you said, you don't want to be the first one, but at what point do you make a call? If, of course, it happens, because it didn't happen this time around.
I think like if it was undrivable, it wasn't really undrivable. It was getting to that point, but it wasn't there yet. So I think like if it was sliding off like almost every corner, then I would have pit. But
now, of course, fuel strategy was a big part of the race as well. Well, how far did the rain help you to save a bit of fuel?
well, I always worse at fuel because just now it came in for like a couple liters because on the start, well, I used crew chief, and crew chief like kind of messed up what I originally had. So I was saving, and then I had to pit again to add more fuel. But it did save, like it did save a lot. It helped. So I was grateful at the start until I realized that I still didn't have enough.
All right, Sashin. Anyone you want to shout out before we let you leave the booth?
I don't know if anybody watching. I sent a link to a couple people, but I'm not sure because they were just blocking my bedroom. So I'm not sure who watching, but yeah, if anybody watching, shout out to y'all.
All right, Sashin. Thank you very much. Congratulations
All
on
right,
your
thanks.
GT3 Pro victory. And yeah, thank you.
All right.
Right there. I think you're very happy, Sashin Sobers there, James.
Yeah, definitely sound very happy here as well. But I think one man that will be happy is the man that led from start to finish here, Dan. Daniel Kirby's in the booth for you.
Good evening, Daniel. How are you?
Tired but good.
How was that race for you? You seem to be the driver who could handle these changing conditions the best.
Yeah, it was pretty tricky when it started raining, but it didn't get too bad. So I think pretty much everybody just stayed on slicks and just rode it out until it stopped.
And how
But
difficult was that decision to stay on slicks though, instead of going to wets?
uh, it was pretty easy call because for whatever reason, like the dry line was still like perfectly dry almost. The only time or the only place it was wet was offline, so it was like easy call to stay on slicks. It wasn't raining hard enough.
Well, there we go, James. There we've got the answer. Slicks or wet tires were not in the picture for Daniel Kirby, and he clearly won the race. So that was the fastest strategy. Just you know, having a beef with James here about if it was dries or wets, whatever. Daniel, for you, of course, how tricky was that changing condition period in terms of lapping the traffic? Because it seems to be going absolutely pitong when the conditions are changing and hypercars have to lap the traffic.
Yeah, it definitely added to the chaos. It was just like yellow flags everywhere. There's cars going off. But once you kind of like get into the rhythm, and since I kind of focus mainly on lapping cars on exits, it doesn't really affect you like having to go offline because you're just through the acceleration phase. So it wasn't too tricky, but still very nerve-wracking, I guess.
All right, Dan. Anyone you want to shout out before we let you leave the booth? Because you're not leaving before.
Shout out to you guys for holding it down on the broadcast. It makes it awesome to rewatch later.
Thank you very much, Daniel. We appreciate that. James, any questions from you?
No, I am all good, Dan. Well done, buddy. And look forward to having a chat as the season goes on.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Take care. Well, there you go. Now let's bring in the hypercar winner, Oliver Newman, here as well. Oliver, welcome in.
Hello.
Oliver, what a drive from you in that race. How difficult was that?
Busy. Very, very busy with all of the cars on track. Not a long circuit.
Now, tires, it was a strategy the whole race long. Did you, in any way, change dry tires? Because I think everyone stayed on dries, including you. At some point in the race, did you change tires?
Yeah, so first stop I changed to softs, and then I didn't change to the end. So I kind of gambled at the end. I was playing with changing to new softs, but in the end I think it was not changing tires that helped me get the win.
There we go. Now we know
Sorry,
what. Well,
I'm a little excited.
we can hear that. We can hear that, and rightly so. Of course, a victory in the Hypercar AM class, but fuel strategy, not only tires but fuel as well. How far did the rain help you in the Hypercar to save that bit of fuel to make it a easy two-stop?
It helped quite a lot, I think, because obviously you go a bit slower. But yeah, I just filled the tank through not being able to do the quick math. So just filled it to the tank and ran it on the highest engine mode.
Oh, right. All right, there we go, Oliver. Anyone you want to shout out before you leave the booth?
Tony McOffoven, definitely him. Just because. Hello, Tony.
Just because you can. All right then, Oliver. Congratulations on your Hypercar AM victory and win in class, and thank you very much.
Cheers.
There you go.
Last one.
Yeah, Eugene, Missouri here as well. So Eugene's there for you then.
Well, Eugene, winner of the LMGT3 AM class. How does it feel?
Feels great. A little wet.
How was that race for you? Changing conditions, it had everything.
Well, yeah. It was challenging, but I just maxed my TC and ABS and hoped for the best.
Okay, so it was just for you, it was a case of ramp your TC all the way up and just, don't spin.
I mean, yeah. My approach is I manage hypercar traffic a lot, so I keep an eye on them and just keep my pace and see what happens.
How was the traffic, though? Because we saw some scary moments, especially during the changing conditions. How was the the traffic from an LMGT3 AM driver's perspective?
Almost everybody was great except one hypercar who rear-ended me at pit entry. So I lost some time there, but other than that, it was great.
All right, Eugene, anyone you want to shout out before we let you leave?
Yeah, the car behind me, Reptile Racing, I believe. What's his name? Alec? Yeah, he gave me a great race, and yeah, definitely was fun racing with him. He was gaining and pushing me a lot, so I appreciate that.
All right, Eugene, thank you very much for your time and congratulations on your GT3 AM victory.
Thank you.
Well, James, I think all very happy drivers, and rightly so, of course, winning all of their classes. But yeah, especially in a race like this, it's just surviving. And you said it at the beginning, that was the most important thing.
Yeah, it was, and it was also, you could see there from people's points of view that obviously it was very tough for them. You've got to think of obviously the situation for them. It was a very tough race for them, and you're going to have to just try and hopefully see how they get on next time, because it was always going to be that way with the rain and everything else. It was always going to be hard.
Yeah, I just want to point one thing out, and this is for my friend George Angelidis. It was not the CLK that flipped in the historic VWC. It was the CLR. There you go. Hope George Angelidis is happy. We are happy with the race that we've seen here today, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you are as well. Hope you enjoyed it, because yeah, it had everything.
Yeah, it definitely did, and you know, it's been an exciting race. It's been an interesting race. It's been a chaotic race as well. So yeah, they've just seen. I think we've seen everything. I think that's the thing. We've seen everything.
Well then, that was it, James, from the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, and well, like I said, what a race! It had everything: rain, crashes, spins, a pit stop drama, multi-class crashes. Catch us next week though, when we're back 60 minutes at Monza. Usually this time of year in Italy it doesn't rain a lot, but you never know what we can expect. Maybe at Monza we have a torrential downpour and Monza absolutely floods. Here we have the calendar one more time. Road America after that, then Fuji, Indianapolis, Road Atlanta, and Bahrain still to come. Thank you all very much for watching today. This was it from the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park circuit. Thank you all for watching. Thank you everyone who's made this possible. And we'll see you at Monza next week, 22nd of July. Until then, stay safe. Bye-bye.